The Dallas Cowboys are coming off a very disappointing 2024 season, and it appears that things could be getting much worse for America's team before it gets better. This negative sentiment is reflected in the current Super Bowl odds, where Dallas has the 19th best odds of bringing home the Lombardi Trophy this season. Today we will break down just what went wrong for the Cowboys in 2024, their key additions and losses on the offensive and defensive side of the ball to help project how their season will play out in 2025. The 2024 season, hopes were high in Dallas. Dak Prescott was coming off of the best season of his career, and they had budding stars on the defensive side of the ball. There were some concerns about their rushing attack with Tony Pollard leaving in free agency, but many believed that the elite passing offense would be enough to keep the offense afloat. They got the season started on the right foot with the win over the Cleveland Browns. However, they followed this up with a 2-game losing streak. Dallas was able to bounce back with 2 straight wins, but were embarrassed against the Detroit Lions in a 47-9 loss heading into their bye week. This bye week could not have come at a worse time, and while many teams come off of this extended break looking rejuvenated, this was not the case for the Cowboys. They went on to lose their next 4 straight games. While they were able to put together a 2-game winning streak after this, they were still struggling to even get back to 500. They closed out the season on a 2-3 run and finished their disappointment of a 2024 campaign with a 7-10 record. This wound up being an awful showing for the Cowboys on both sides of the ball. They had an above-average passing attack, ranking 11th in passing yards. In defense of these numbers, Prescott only suited up in 8 games throughout the year. However, their lack of a true starting caliber running back through the season led them to ranking 27th in rushing yards and dead last in the league in rushing touchdowns. While the team had some solid pieces on the defensive end, they lacked depth, and injuries to their stars quickly made this clear. Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and Deron Bland each missed at least 4 games throughout the season. They allowed the season most points in the league and unsurprisingly struggled against both the pass and the run. Dallas ranked 17th in passing yards allowed and 24th in passing touchdowns allowed. While these are not exceptional numbers by any means, their rushing numbers were so much worse, giving up the 4th most rushing yards and the most rushing touchdowns. This is a season that Dallas fans and every member of the organization would rather forget. There were very few, if any, bright spots. CeeDee Lamb was able to finish the season with over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, despite being forced to play alongside 3 different quarterbacks throughout the season. Despite the lack of production from their offense in the 2024 season, there were not many hidden additions made to their offense, especially when taking into account just how much work needed to be done. They addressed their hole in the roster at running back with the signings of Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, as last year's starter Rico Dowdle signed elsewhere in free agency. Along with this, in the 5th round, they drafted Texas running back Jadon Blue, who they will likely look to as more long-term solution at this position. A massive loss that the Cowboys suffered was the retirement of 7-time All-Pro right guard Zach Martin. Dallas used their 1st-round pick to attempt to fill this hole, selecting Tyler Booker from Alabama. Along with this, they also signed Robert Jones at the guard position. Finally, while it was by no means their biggest need, one of the most substantial moves to the offense made this offseason came in a trade in which the Cowboys sent the 3rd-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for George Pickens. This will be the first time in his career that Pickens is not the number 1 receiver, and with him receiving less attention from opposing defenses, could lead to him putting up career numbers in 2025. While they made an attempt to hit key needs on the roster, it is still up in the air if these new pieces will be enough to get the offense where it needs to be to even contend in a loaded NFC East division. Similar to their offense, the Dallas defense also suffered some considerable losses in the offseason. 4-time Pro Bowler defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence signed elsewhere in free agency, and the team also lost cornerback Jordan Lewis. Their biggest signings in free agency came at the defensive tackle position with the signings of Osa Odighizuwa and Solomon Thomas, both of which were signed to multi-year deals. They further bulked up the defensive line and more directly addressed the departure of Lawrence with the signing of Dante Fowler Jr. Along with this, they also used their 2nd-round pick to select Donovan Ezebatu. an edge rusher from Boston College. With already significant injury history Trayvon Diggs has racked up throughout his short NFL career, Dallas added some depth at cornerback position, trading a 5th and 7th round pick for Kyer Elam and a 6th round pick. They also drafted Shaven Revel Jr., a cornerback from East Carolina, in the 3rd round. Similar to the offense, it is unclear if these additions will be enough to improve the Cowboys to even make it back to the playoffs. To put the cherry on top of what has been a rather disappointing offseason, elite edge rusher Michael Parsons has recently demanded a trade from the team following a contract dispute. If he ends up getting the trade he has demanded or winds up holding out if the two sides are unable to reach an agreement, this could be detrimental not only to the defense but to Dallas' entire season. It will be interesting to see how the situation with Parsons winds up playing out, but the Cowboys do have enough cap space to get the job done. According to the Over the Cap, they currently have $31,559,802 in both cap space and effective cap space, the 7th most cap space in the entire league. Dallas is unlikely to be making a deep playoff push, and as a result of this, will probably not be making too many more additions to the team, meaning that a good chunk of that cap space can additionally and potentially be used to extend Parsons if they decide not to trade him.
We should get him off the field. Here is Gibbs reversing his field, trying to get to the edge and done. And he's got a first down with pickup on first and pickup about
12. 2025 projection for the Cowboys is rather bleak. Coming off of a disappointing season in 2024, the front office seemed rather uninspired to make any big moves to attempt to get the team back on track while its core continues to age. To make things even worse for Dallas, they have the 5th toughest schedule in the entire league and are set to play 10 games against teams who made the playoff last season. They are slated to take on the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles twice, the Green Bay Packers, Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, and Los Angeles Chargers. This is by no means what a struggling team already on the verge of making the postseason wants to see. If the front office is unable to get a deal done with Parsons, or at the very least a strong return in a trade for him, their season will be over before it really gets started. He is the heart and soul of not only the defense, but the team as a whole. With Dallas's defense unit performing as poorly as it did last season, if their anchor is not on the field, it will be another ugly season for them. Along with this, with star players in Dak Prescott and Trayvon Diggs coming off of injuries, it is not guaranteed that they will be the same players they were prior to being hurt. Arguably, the sole expected bright spot of the team will be their passing game as long as Prescott is able to come back and perform at the level he was playing at prior to injury. The addition of George Pickens is a very exciting addition and a move that will likely elevate the offense as a whole and positively affect both Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. There are multiple variables that could work against the Cowboys next season without even going into the gauntlet of the schedule they face or the division that they are in. As a result of this, we project that the Cowboys will likely miss the postseason in 2025, and if they are somehow able to sneak into the postseason, it will be as the 6th or 7th seed.
He wants to go out there and make winning plays, and that's what great players do. They don't care whether their numbers close. They're going to contribute either way.